Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Subnet Show. I'm your host, Gabriel Cardona. I'm flying it solo tonight. Connor's not here. He'll be joining us for the next episode. We have with us a very special guest tonight. We have Itamar Carvalho. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that too correctly. I apologize. He is
No worries.
Thank you, sir. He's the co-founder, president, and lead developer of AVME. AVME is one very interesting and exciting project on Avalanche that's been getting a lot of love from the community. That is basically, it's like a suite of products, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, but it consists of a wallet, and then there's also AntiVirus and malware detection, and then there might even be a web portal and some staking. There's probably even more than that. Their team is absolutely going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and every time we talk to them, they're making a ton of progress. But anyway, welcome to the Subnet Show, Ita. Thank you for jumping on here with me.
Thank you for the invite. I love talking about AVME, so it is very, very warming when people are interested about it.
Yeah, there's no question. I get a lot of inbound tweets, relatively, right? There's always just a ton of inbound messages coming at me. And it's interesting what signals kind of emerge from all that noise. And what I do get is that if I do not mention or retweet you or whatever, like you or something in my social media stream for an amount of time, I will have people ping me and say, hey, what's up? You haven't mentioned AVME in a while. So for what it's worth, you guys are on people's mind and people are very interested in what you're doing. Before we get there, there's a lot to talk about there, but sort of the typical pattern with the Subnet Show is we kind of like to get a sense of the people who are building in our community and like what their crypto journey is and what their crypto vision is. So I usually ask people kind of the same suite of questions in the beginning just to get a sense of who they are. So before we even talk about AVME, let's talk briefly about your sort of journey to become the co-founder and president and lead developer of AVME. Let's kind of go back to the beginning. Do you remember what the first suite of software or app or, what was the first thing that got you hooked on software?
Well, the first time that I got in crypto was back in 2013. I got in crypto because one of my friends told me about like a decentralized money protocol. Like when I was a kid, I always asked my teachers, where's the money comes from?
Sure.
How the banks, how people actually get the money. I never understand how the government prints money and gets money. When I saw the Bitcoin protocol and I saw how the thing was completely decentralized and how the money was distributed, I was simply shocked. Mm-hmm. I was personally shocked. And the second thing that came into my mind was like, I need to mine this. Mm-hmm. So I put my old GPU to mine Bitcoin. I got nothing. Mm-hmm. Because back that time was like it was already being run by ASICs.
Yeah.
So after the 2013, I lose interest. But in 2016, I got back and I started digging altcoins. I started digging like recently launched altcoins from mine, etc., and I started to see a pattern. Like every altcoin that launched, always like the same UI of the wallet. So I started questioning myself how these people are creating these new coins. And after that, I started digging into the source code of Bitcoin forks. And it is how I got started with programming. I started learning programming because of Bitcoin and also of other altcoins. I wanted to learn how it worked. I wanted to learn how I could replicate and how I could improve over it. So I have created back in, I believe, 2017, a school project that was a coin. It was called Ararium. And I maintained this project from 2017 to 2021 because what happened, the people that actually had these coins, the Ararium coins, was swapped to the AVME token. So a Marcus that is or co-founder was someone that I meet because of this Iron coin that I have created, because one of the things that I made with Iron was creating a new proof of work algorithm. So it was only CPU mineable. I created it and implemented it on my own coin. And I made Marcus because Marcus was running a pool back then. And I needed someone to test if it was working with the pool. I'm not sure if you know the YIMP pool.
The what pool?
WIMP.
I don't think so.
Let me type here. WIMP.
Yeah, hold on. There's a lot to unpack there, so let's put on the brakes.
Okay.
So I'm going to see what I can unwind from my memory there, because there was a lot. So you literally found out about Bitcoin in 2013, became disinterested, found out about it again, altcoins in 2016, and that was your catalyst to start learning to program, literally?
Yes, wow, it was my catalyst.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Hold on, I want to unpack a few things. So that's true. So I caught that. That's pretty cool. You hear a lot of people, crypto changed my life radically. Crypto changes people's lives.
No, crypto changed my life.
Yeah, it's such a there's so many paradigms, right? It's like this cornucopia of paradigms. These paradigm shifts just keep coming out, and there's
like the only reason that I'm married right now it is because of crypto.
Sure, I feel you. Yeah, there's so many paradigms that come out of this cornucopia, and it's like a multifaceted jewel. There's many ways for your mind to approach it. That's why it turns on so many people. But I don't know of many people who picked up the art of programming from directly wanting to interface. So that's kind of cool. So then you said you had checked out forks of the Bitcoin, apparently, code base. This is 16.
Yes.
So Ethereum existed at this time. So a couple kind of questions there. Were you just interested in peer-to-peer payments and Bitcoin derivatives, or were you aware of Ethereum and smart contracts? And then the second part being, you said you created your own coin that had a novel proof of work algorithm. Was that a clone of Bitcoin as well? Go.
Yes, it was a fork of Bitcoin.
Okay, it so was the other one being, were you aware of smart contracts, or were you just like into Bitcoin and peer-to-peer payments?
Yes, I was mostly on Bitcoin, not smart contracts.
Sure. Yeah, I got it. That's an entirely new paradigm, right? And peer-to-peer payments is something that's still not totally popped off yet. We need it a little bit less today. We need it sort of by default, because the world needs to be censorship resistant by default, and we really do need a peer-to-peer cash.
Yes.
But the actual utility that it provides for us in a practical sense, we need less now in 2021, obviously, than we did in 2008, whenever Bitcoin popped off at the beginning, because now there wasn't a lot of mobile services then, and banks hadn't yet caught on to making like people-to-people payments nice and frictionless. Now there's so much more infrastructure, and the financial system has had time to build services that at least fulfill the functionality, if not the ideal, of this peer-to-peer payment network, that it's less of a need sort of in a practical sense now, but it's still needed in a very real sense, because the world just needs to be censorship resistant.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so then the name of your coin was what?
Aerium.
I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher that. I can't even understand it. What language is that?
It is like English.
Aerium. I see. You've got to paste it here. I apologize. Aerium. Gotcha. And then the okay, cool. So then you developed Aerium. It was a fork of Bitcoin. And then the way you met Marcus. Marcus is one of the co-founders of AVME, another absolute incredibly sharp dude I've met a couple times. The way you met Marcus is what he was running Yippool, and then that mined Aerium.
Yes, it was like when I was deploying Aerium, I needed someone with experience over pool mining that could test with me my new CPU algorithm. So I made him.
What was novel about it? What was novel about the algorithm?
There was nothing novel about the algorithm.
It was CPU. It was like a CPU you could mine on your CPU.
Yes, it was a very heavy algorithm. So it was like only CPU.
Okay, I got
back then.
And then so you met Marcus, who was running Yippool, and then ultimately you said that what people can reclaim Aerium for AVME now?
They were able to reclaim. We kept the swap time frame open for 2 months, and it is now closed. So people that was interested in Aerium and was invested in our Aerium or mined Aerium back then, was able to take advantage of this 2 months time frame to swap to the AVME token.
What did that process look like if you were coming from a Bitcoin fork into, I don't get, apparently a C chain on Avalanche, or how did you do that?
So it is centralized. It's completely, this swap had to be completely centralized. So what I did.
Sure, that's fair enough. There's not like there's something wrong with that. I got you.
So how I did it to actually prove that the person had the money. So I asked them to give them the private keys of the Aerium wallet, so I could check the balance of their address and then sign a message with the private key, so I can store it. And if people are interested, I can give them out the document that I have created with the address, the balance, which address on Avalanche was received, and the signed message, so people can check that it is valid.
Got it. So I say you understand. Did a lot of people take care of that or take advantage of that?
Not a lot of people, because some people lose interest over time.
Sure, and I don't know how big Aerium was, but okay, gotcha. So then how long, if you discovered Bitcoin in 13 and then altcoins in 16, were you learning to code then, or was 16 your catalyst to pick up code?
In 17 was my catalyst to pick up over code. And the reason that I like to code in C++ and our wallet was made in C++ is because Bitcoin was made in C++ and I learned programming from there.
Sure, fair enough. Have you checked out other competing languages like Go or Rust? Not even from I'm not even saying any of them are better. I'm just wondering, like our tech stack is Golang Central. I myself really like Rust. Have you played around with either of those?
A little bit. I like the proposal of them, but I prefer C++ because it was like my mother language.
Yeah, I feel you. I got you. Yeah, I still prefer TypeScript because it's like JavaScript, and it's a better version of JavaScript, and that's my mother language as well. I can do Go, I can do Python, I can do Ruby, a bunch of different languages, but I think in TypeScript, so I understand where you're coming from.
I think in C++.
Yeah, that's cool. C++ is a very powerful language, obviously, if not the most powerful. It's very, from what I understand, cumbersome and complex, and you definitely have to know what you're doing. That's interesting that that's your core language.
One of the sayings from C++, actually the C++ creator said that, is that C++ make it is hard to like hurt yourself. But when you do, you are shooting yourself in the legs.
Sure. Is that Bjorn something? Is that the creator?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a champion. I love that dude. Watch him give talks. He's amazing.
I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, Bjorn Strumpf something. I'm sorry, I'm butchering it as well, but I think it's something like that. Absolute genius, wizard level dude. Great videos to go watch him talk. He's got a very dry sense of humor, right? He comes off like a super laid back professor, but his sense of humor is super dry. He'll drop it in there the whole time he's giving presentations. It's a very, very cool personality. So then 2017, you start learning C++. Did you do any other startups, or what was your work experience and your dev experience before you started the AVME ecosystem?
I was invited to be a smart contract developer over a project called Global Funeral Care, but the project didn't go very well. So I actually never did work for them. But I kept studying and practicing. I both Giant C++ book. Let me see if I can get it here.
It's all good.
It's a book like this size, and the way that it teaches you, it is awesome. I really like it.
Got it. Okay, cool. So then walk me into how AVME came into being. inspiration, the foundation of the team, the first lines of code. What was that journey like?
Yeah, so like I was looking with Marcus to solve a problem that exists on the current market, and we wanted to solve it. So we like discussed for about 1 year before deciding what kind of problem we could tackle into. And we found out that the decentralization of like the security of cybersecurity programs is it is a flaw that could be attacked through blockchain's paradigms. So we came like with this idea back of the end of last year, and it started like developing it back in December. Marcus is developing the security, is developing the start of the malware protection, and I have started developing the wallet, which is the foundation to the security suite tools, because we want to have everything like decentralized and powered by the blockchain. How we were able to do that with a wallet, because the wallet is a way to communicate with the blockchain. Mm-hmm. So we decided to start creating our foundations, and I have started creating the wallet back in December of the last year.
So it sounds like, I didn't catch the year, I apologize, but it sounds like you and Marcus were brainstorming on creating a project. What year did you say that was, 2019?
Like 2018, 2019, yes.
And you just said like you guys realized that there's security problems in the blockchain, if I understood, if I can simplify it. So
not in the blockchain. Security is like the cybersecurity, like an antivirus, like your Avast, Kaspersky, or for example, LastPass or Dashlane. Have you used this before?
Of course, yes.
The thing is, it's completely centralized. It's closed source. You never know what the company is doing. You never know what the software is doing with your computer. You don't know why for one of the things that I thought when I was a kid, like when you download something that is malware from the internet and the antivirus pops up, it don't give you a reason why that was targeted was malware. Mm-hmm. So the user don't have the clarity from this kind of source. So these companies, besides that, are aimed for profit. Mm-hmm. And like Avast, for example, was caught selling user browser data to a third party.
Sure.
So you see where the problem is, and you see how we're looking to solve it.
Sure, absolutely. So I can imagine, many ways in which the blockchain could potentially disintermediate existing malware and, virus detection systems. I'm wondering, from what sort of perspective did you guys approach it? Is it doing application malware detection? Like, is it doing operating system?
The reason to have the blockchain is to have a form of consensus. Mm-hmm. And besides that, a form of payment. Like you are able to pay for the services, and people can actually, for example, set up a node that it will analyze malware or be a VPN provider and receive payments for that. So the blockchain also provides a method of payment.
So then is it something like Dropbox or something where I just have a folder and I drop stuff into it and I say, detect if there's malware on this, and it uploads it to the cloud that farms it out to a bunch of different AVME nodes that are then doing their thing, and then they all reach consensus. If 8 out of 10 of them say that it's green, then you write back it's green, or something like that. Is that an oversimplification, or does that make sense?
Yes, it is exactly like that. You just simplified how it is going to work in the future.
Okay, got it.
So the reason to have the blockchain is to have this consensus mechanism, but also be able to charge for the services and to reward the nodes that are dedicating the computer power to the network.
Okay, got it. And then I think in the past we had potentially talked about you even being able to leverage a subnet in a virtual machine because a virtual machine allowed you better expressivity than a smart contract, for example. Can you expound on that idea?
So the reason that we need the subnet is because this kind of services, the way I'm designing the protocol, in order to be completely decentralized, you need to have a fast blockchain. Mm-hmm. You need to have a reach of fast consensus. Otherwise, the whole protocol will be bottleneck. And we want to be able to target zero-day malware. Mm-hmm. So you need to be fast. And there is only two ways to do that. Through your own blockchain, where you have to set up everything, you have to maintain everything, or through your own Avalanche subnet. So that this is the main reason that we have picked Avalanche to build upon it, because the amount of freedom you guys are giving for us, the developers, to build our own subnets with our own rules is like mind-blowing. There's nothing like that in the crypto market right now. It is when I started digging into the code, I'm not very good with Go, but I can understand a little bit.
Sure.
When I was digging through the code and how it works, the amount of freedom you guys are giving to us is insane.
Yeah, we have a really cool API where developers can basically launch their own blockchains as virtual machines. And you can basically get networking consensus and data structures out of the box, right? You don't have to
yes, exactly.
Yeah, so it's like a really big leap forward. And so whenever you're setting up these subnets, they can be completely permissionless or permissioned. So what he's saying is they can create their own blockchain, which is incredibly highly performant, and it can be super computing intensive. And then they can create their own private subnet and say, in order to join our subnet, your hardware has to meet these certain hardware requirements because we're running a very powerful network, because we're doing all of this malware detection, and we have to have stuff be uploaded and downloaded from us very quick, and we've got to be able to turn over stuff very quick. And in order to do that, we have payments baked into the system, right? And you can issue your own assets to use. So I totally see the vision. And then I know there's other parts of the ecosystem as well. There's a wallet, there's a web portal, there's staking. Flesh out some of the other components for me.
So the wallet currently is a lighter, safer, and faster alternative to Metamask. The reason for that is, on the safer side, everything is kept encrypted until the time you really need it. So if you are doing a transaction, it will always require a password because the private keys are stored encrypted, and only when you are signing a transaction, they are decrypted to sign it and send to the network. The reason for being lighter is because of the language we are using. C++, it allows you to build very lightweight applications. And the reason, what was the other? I forgot, sorry.
Yeah, so whenever you say the
faster.
Yeah, the thing I've been wondering, I want to wrap my mind around is today Metamask is integrated into the browser, right? So when I'm creating it's part of the web UX, but the AVME wallet is not, right? So there's a fundamental difference in the user experience, is there not?
Yes, it is a desktop wallet. It is a program that you install in your computer.
Right, so how does it compete with Metamask in that regard? There's no Web3 component, is that correct?
So the thing is, we developed a plugin that will act like Metamask and will proxy connections between the website and the browser and the desktop wallet. So what happens? You are now able to use your desktop wallet with any website currently on the Avalanche, because our wallet is only supporting Avalanche for now. We'll be supporting other chains in the future, but our focus right now is on Avalanche.
Sure.
So the browser plugin, what is actually doing, it is mimicking MetaMask. So developers like Pangolin, TraderJoe, etc., don't have to do special conditions to integrate our wallet. And besides that, it is, as I say, the proxy, the connections between the website and the desktop wallet. So you keep the security that the lightness and the fastness that our desktop wallet provides, but you are able to use with any website under the Avalanche chain.
What does that interface look like from a software perspective? Are you using the actual Web3 API, or do you have some custom thing? How do I fire off transactions and get balances and do all that stuff in the web?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'm wondering, like today, I understand how to write Web3 apps. I'm not sure if my mic here is working or if my mic there is working, because I had this on mute and you were still able to hear me.
I think it's the other one.
Yeah, I think it's the one on the computer. So my question is simply this, and if you don't know the answer, that's fine. Maybe you're not the guy who wrote the code. But today I know how to write a Web3 smart contract app, right, to interface with Metamask and the Avalanche or Ethereum blockchains. What does the interface look like for me to interact between a web page and the AVME wallet? Is it the Web3 API, or what is the actual code I write to make a click of a button on a web browser file for transaction?
So if you are using our plugin, it's the same as Metamask.
Okay.
If you want to communicate directly through the wallet, you need to open a WebSocket to our wallet and use the Johnson RPC API of Ethereum.
Okay.
So it is mostly the same as Web3. You can point this WebSocket as the provider. It will work.
Okay, I understand. Cool. And then what about the web portal? What is that?
So the web portal that we are building is something like VirusTotal. So you will be able to upload files, and these files will be analyzed through the decentralized network and report back to you with full logs, like not only if something is a malware or not, it will tell exactly what this program is doing inside our nodes, what it's doing, why it was targeted as malware. So it will give the reason for you.
Is that what's needed to, I'm still trying to picture what the user experience looks like from a super high level when your tech's all built. I understand you guys are still building it, but that's why I come back to the Dropbox idea. What is the actual user experience for a person who has a computer who wants to get a piece of software detected? How do they get it onto your network? Through this web portal, or is that the way it works?
So you will be able to do through the web portal, you'll be able to do through our antivirus program, because the thing is the antivirus will be connected to the database that is being created by the nodes, and this database is created by users uploading malware to the network.
Mm-hmm. So they use the web portal? That's because I was picturing another thing could be like Dropbox, right? There's a folder I drag.
Yes.
Or there could be different ways to do it. Are you guys going to have an API that other people can build their own front ends for you?
The other what?
Like if somebody wanted to build their own front end, are you going to have like an API or something? Is it going to be?
Everything is done through smart contracts, so you are able to build over them. So everything is open source and decentralized. So it is not required to use our own web portal or our own antivirus. We will be able to build your own, because the code is public, the nodes are decentralized, everything is open for the developers to build over it.
Do you have any like web services or anything like that?
What?
Like we have our API, let's say api.avox.network. Do you have any web services?
Currently, it is on a pre-alpha state, but we are building it.
Okay, gotcha. And then what about, I'm going to bring up your webpage. Staking, I know, was another point that was on there. I think they're missing a couple points. We got the AVME suite, security suite, antivirus engine, web portal, endpoint security, and staking. So the AVME suite, it says AVME provides an all-in-one application for your comfort and convenience. Is this the wallet?
No. So the thing is, the AVME project is not only the wallet, it is a completely decentralized security suite. So antivirus, VPN, password manager, cloud storage, and others. So we'll be able to provide the end user with with all of the services. Our goal is to have the antivirus free, and these other services are going to be paid.
I see. Yeah, I like LastPass and OnePass. Yeah, all of this stuff is super critical, and it's a good idea that it doesn't need to be centralized behind one service. There always is the question of if there's like a breakdown, how can I sort
Yes,
of
exactly. I personally use LastPass, and I like designed this protocol as fast as I can to deploy. Firstly, probably the first services that we are going to deploy, it will be the VPN, then the password manager, and then the cold storage, because I want to take advantage of a completely trustless services. Like, for example, not VPN. They market like your ISP will not spy or target your network anymore, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not sure if NordVPN is looking to your traffic when you are using their services.
Sure.
Like the term of services says that they're not logging anything, but you can't be sure if it's not completely open.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, LastPass, for example, you store your passwords there. You are not sure if their service have a backdoor.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know that. How you can trust a company?
Mm-hmm.
Like there is third parties audits made to the company, but then you have to trust the third parties. With AVME, the only thing that you have to trust is the code. So the way I'm designing the protocol for example, the password manager, is that everything is kept encrypted under your password before it is uploaded to the cloud. So it is stored there. So we'll be using a pretty strong encryption algorithm. So the nodes that are storing your passwords cannot like crack into it. And you'll be able to take advantage of this trustless network, because the only thing that you need to trust is the encrypted algorithm that has been tested for years on end.
How are you going to be storing the passwords? Is it just in like a relational database, or is there something more advanced than that? Are you using something like Filecoin or IPFS? What do you use for a cloud data store?
So the nodes will be storing the files.
Sure, but I mean, are they just going to do it in like a relational database, or are they going to be doing something more advanced? Do you know, or has that not been decided?
Not being decided yet.
Sure, fair enough. Okay, cool. I think I got a good picture of the ecosystem. So you guys also had, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like a token sale. There's an AVME token, is that correct?
Yes, there is an AVME token that will be used for both paying for the services, mm-hmm, and awarding the nodes that are dedicating computer power to the network.
Sure, absolutely. Did you guys do a token sell, or did you raise capital in any way?
No, we haven't done any kind of sale, private sale, nothing. We are planning for doing something in 1 to 2 months, but I cannot tell much about it. It will be very exciting because I don't want to spoil the surprise.
Gotcha. So today I can go to Pangolin and stake. How do I get AVME? Can I buy it on a DEX, or can I? There's user rewards, so I can stake AVME and get some as a yield farmer.
Yes, the reason there's this liquidity mining deployed under the AVME token. The reason that we made that is to incentivize the early investors while the protocol is being developed. Mm-hmm. So we were able to lock both AVAX and AVME tokens into Pangolin liquidity, and then receive AVME through our staking contract.
Gotcha. Cool. And then is there anything else about the token sale? Do you guys have, I see there's like a developer fund, initial development funds, marketing airdrops, swap, user rewards.
So the thing is, when we deployed the token, we created 2 million on the initial supply. 100,000 of this 2 million was reserved as a treasury for development. There is nothing like, nothing part, nothing. Everything is for the AVME development. From this 1,900,000, it was allocated for the swap. So the thing is, only like 1 million AVME tokens was swapped. So what happens with the remaining
swapped with what?
From the converting your old area tokens to the AVME token.
What did you do with the leftovers? Just keep them as AVME? For people.
Yes. So what happened with the leftovers of these tokens? They were locked. They were like splitted and locked for 2 years.
And then they're what? Just going back to the main treasury?
Yes.
Gotcha. So unclaimed tokens will just be reclaimed basically by the treasury.
Yes. So it is locked for 2 years, and every month there is an unlock of X amount of AVME tokens. I can send you the link of Trust Swap and after this call if you are interested.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I think I understand. I got a big high-level picture. So how big is your team, and why don't you give a shout out to some of the people in your team?
So currently we have like 6 or 7 people on our team. You have me as the lead developer and president. You have Marcus as developer of the security suite. You have Gian that is working with me in the desktop wallet. You have Gabriel, not Gabriel Cardona, that's working on the mobile wallet. You have Alessandro that's working in marketing. And you have Natalia that's working with design.
So that's a big team. It's primarily in what part of the world? You don't have to give me any details, but like what continents are you guys located on?
Marcus is currently on Romania. Me, Gabriel, and Gian is from Brazil.
Cool.
And if I'm correct, Natalia and Alessandro are from Venezuela.
Awesome. Great. I've been to Caracas. It's an amazing place. My family is from Bogota. Yeah, very cool, man. So I think I get a high level picture. We talked about your journey. We talked about AVME and how you brought your team together, and then what all the different products are, and sort of the token cell, and then like I mentioned, your team. How does the roadmap look? This is a very ambitious project, even with the 10 people or so that you just mentioned. I know how it is to build networks. This stuff is incredibly complex. People who don't build anything don't really appreciate just how many moving pieces there are in a professional grade software suite. So to pull something like this, what do you envision?
So one of the things that I would like to point out, as you said, building decentralized protocols is a hard task, because there are so many little flaws that can lead to giant exploits within the system. So like I'm designing the protocol, trying to cover all these flaws, and the way that I'm designing it is in a generic way, so we're able to expand to other services beside the ones that I have explained.
Yeah, so I think you mentioned something about that earlier. I wanted to tease that out a bit. So with regards to Avalanche, of course, we have Avalanche Consensus and Snowman Consensus and Snowman++, and we're just exploring Frosty Consensus. And so then we have this consensus engine, and we have this API. It's available over Go and over gRPC, over many different languages. And then people can leverage this protocol in order to build their own L1 blockchains and get, all these benefits. When you say you're developing your own protocol that you're hoping other people can leverage, is that what you envision? Like APIs that developers can use? Or are you talking about SDKs? Or are you talking about white papers? What exactly do you envision?
Yes, I believe the way that I'm developing this protocol, other developers will be able to take advantage of the of this code to build other kinds of protocols over it. So for example, we're building a security service. We're building something that requires decentralized computing.
Mm-hmm.
And people will be able to take advantage of the code and protocol that we are developing, so they can build other kind of services that require computer power.
I see. And do you envision like this being over SDKs, or will people be writing apps for your wallet? What exactly would that look like?
I believe that it will be like an SDKs, but like people will be able to fork the way our protocol works and adapt it to their necessities.
I see. Okay. All right, man. Well, I think I got the full picture. I appreciate your time. So let's see. Is there anything else you kind of want to bring a highlight to while you're here? Anybody else you want to give a shout out to? Any other projects? Any other cool stuff? What are you thinking?
One of the things I would like to shout out to Jonas, that told me about Avalanche back in the start of this year, because when I was developing the wallet, I was not sure about which like chain to deploy over it. We thought about Ethereum, but Ethereum was impossible to build over it. We thought about like other protocols, but the thing is, we needed Subnet. I back in December last year, I was not aware about the Avalanche protocol and the subnets. Jonas, he's working with Snowball right now. Another shout for Jamari. I'm a big fan of you.
Yeah, he rules.
So big shout out for Jonas that showed me the Avalanche and the subnets. I was astonished by it. Another thing that I would like to point out that you said is about the roadmap. So AVME is a pretty big, extensive project. So I'm aiming to be able to have all this tech deployed by 2 to 3 years by now. But the thing is, we are not going to take this long to deploy everything, because in our white paper, we'll be going from a centralized state. We'll be starting into a centralized state and going slowly changing to a decentralized state. Because one of the things that we want to provide with our services is like, take NordVPN, for example, and the pricing. We want to be able to provide 1/4 of that with high quality. Because I run like hopefully calculations about the pricing, and the protocol is able to do that. But in order to be able to do that, you need to kickstart an engine. So it needs to go to a centralized state firstly, and then go to a completely decentralized state. We're aiming to have like the VPN service already working publicly for the people in a beta in Q1 to Q2 of next year.
And how are you scaling your team, and how is your roadmap? I'm sorry, without revealing too much details, obviously, what does your runway look like with regards to a startup? Do you guys have a decent runway, or are you trying to raise capital? So how are you scaling your team, and then how long is your runway?
So there is some things being worked under the hood, and people will be aware of it like 1 for 2 months from now for a public sale. Gotcha. But it is being kept a secret, and I don't want to spoil you how it is going to work. But the thing is, I want to expand. This protocol will require a lot of main hours, and I'm looking to expand to like 10 to 20 man team.
Yeah, I understand. So you're trying to grow. So you're actively hiring, or is that your intention? So do you have feelers out, and are you getting any reception, or is this?
So we are looking through some candidates right now for, especially for the mobile.
Plug right now. If somebody, there's a lot of smart people who see this show, so you can put out the plug right now. What are you looking for?
We're looking for C++ dev and Dart developers. Besides that, we're looking for someone that is a professional over marketing.
Why are you using Dart? I'm not a language hater. I just haven't heard of anybody using Dart in 2 or 3 years. Who on your team is the Dart person?
Gabriel.
Gabriel got it. And so I see. Interesting.
Yeah. I believe that the reason that he using Dart is because he is able to deploy the same code over Android and iOS.
I got you. Yeah. No. Yeah. I understand. Yeah, I remember Dart being like a Google. I'm going to butcher it. I think it's like a language which can transpile into JavaScript. So it fell into sort of like the TypeScript, CoffeeScript, that kind of category of languages. Super high performance. Somehow leverages, if I remember correctly, the V8 engine, or was inspired by the work on the V8 engine. But anyway, gotcha. Yeah, man, it's been really cool talking to you. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. It was kind of last minute. We've been tossing the idea back and forth on social media for a while. And so when you reached out to me this time, I was like, man, I can't keep giving this guy a run around. I totally want to talk to him. So let's just do it right now while I'm freed up. So I appreciate you making the time very quickly and unexpectedly. You're awesome. I'm a big fan of your and your team's work. I know it's a very ambitious project, and having myself done a lot of startups and worked on a lot of stuff, I think there's a lot of work ahead of you, but I think you guys are pretty inspired, and I think you've got the vision. I think it's going to be about building the team, and sort of there's a lot of highly technical components there. So doing them properly, and like you said, being able to walk that path of going from centralized to decentralized, which is totally legit. Like, I know working in the blockchain space and working in the open source space, sometimes I feel like people are reluctant to tell me their idea if it's closed source or if it's centralized, but I don't judge things in that regard. I think
like even in the centralized state, it will be open source.
Yeah, totally. But even closed source stuff doesn't totally bother me, simply because everybody has to do what makes sense for their business. That's really the game we're playing. If you're just doing stuff for fun, sure, make it open source so that other people can see and play around with it. But if you're doing a business, you're investing your time and your money. And if for some reason you and your people decide you want to go closed source, it might make sense for you. There's some successful closed source software. It might make sense for you to go from centralized to decentralized. In fact, in these decentralized ecosystems, it's very wise to, take that path slowly to full decentralization, because there's just a lot of complexity there.
Yes.
A ton of moving pieces, man. And if you don't think that stuff 1,000% through in the beginning, there's just a lot of ways it can go crazy. And there's a lot of people in the blockchain space who are incredibly sharp and spend their time looking for the edge cases and the flaws in all of these new protocols. And, there's always been white hat, gray hat, black hat hackers, but in the blockchain space, yeah.
One of the things that I've have you heard about PIVX?
No, bring me up to speed.
It is like a fork of Bitcoin that it is with zero coin, so zero knowledge, and proof of stake and master nodes. Okay. So one of the things that I looked through the code, I found exploits inside the code, like in older versions, because
like
there
Dash.
was.
Is it like Dash with zero knowledge proof or something, like Dash for Bitcoin?
Oh, yes, PIVX is a fork of Dash. The Dash is a fork of Bitcoin.
Okay, so yes. It sounded like Dash. I was like, oh, that's not just like Dash. So there was an exploit, and it was like there.
Yes, there was an exploit ringing out there that was messing around the block keywords, because the thing is, within the PIVX proof of stake, the fees are burned, correct? So, but was
presumably. Yeah, I'm not
yes, sure. The fees of transactions are burned. Right. So what happens with the block keyword? It was calculating with the fee. So you could lie the block keyword to the network and break everything.
I see. Yeah.
So it was like you say there is a lot of little details on the blockchain protocols, because it is like a missing if case that creates a whole new level of exploit.
And we're talking about value-bearing assets, right? And like hackers notoriously love to get a hold of money in cash. Think about when we're talking about valuable bits. So it's always good to have your code audited. We at Alva Labs can connect you with several different firms, Halborn, I believe, and
Yes, I have talked with them.
Yeah, there's a couple. I wasn't just mentioning it to you if anybody's watching right now. But anyway, so that's always important. Have your code audited and take your time.
Paranoid.
Yeah, and again, it's like I feel like people are used in the blockchain space. They expect things to move very fast, and things do move relatively fast. But projects should take their time and focus on what it takes to create really high quality software instead of feeling the need to go fast because that's what people want, because it's just worth it. And if you think about the release cycles, they're still so compressed compared to back in the day that it's all good. All right, man, I want to say thank you so much. You have an invitation anytime if you want to come back on and plug something, reach out to me and let me know. And we'll
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely chat again. Thank you so much for your time and your amazing work on the Avalanche Network. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around. If you made it this far, this is Gabriel Cardona. I appreciate all the support lately. Been getting a lot of people just, hitting me up in sort of like tweet streams, mentioning us as like one of their favorite podcasts. We're still obviously very new and we're still learning, but we're really taking this serious and we do see a long-term vision here. And so I appreciate all the support. So we'll obviously see you on the next podcast. So as always, I want to say from Snowflake to Avalanche and through consensus to the stars. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Cheers.